Hey social media queens, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tana, like Montana, and my channel is all about social media tips and tricks, what it's like being an influencer and a professional marketer. So go ahead and grab yourself something to drink and let's get into it. In today's video, we are going to be talking about how to calculate your rate as a content creator. In one of my videos, I talked about why you needed to throw out your rate sheet and talked a little bit about how to calculate your rate, but I did want to create this video to solely talk about that and also add in something a little bit more updated. You can view that video here, but both of them are very beneficial, even though they seem like they are kind of similar. One of the biggest milestones as a content creator is having a brand offer you money to post on your social channels. I will never forget the first time I got offered money, and I think it was like $50, and I literally was like, I'm famous! Like, I could not believe that someone wanted to pay me to literally post on my Instagram. Now that I think about it, I definitely should have charged more, but you live and you learn, and that is why I'm making a video like this today, because I want to spill the tea and share tons of information with you so you know better than I did and take a $50 collab when you are worth so much more. So I want to start out with, there really is no magic formula, and in the video that I mentioned before, I talked about a formula to kind of calculate your base rate, but once you calculate that base rate, you definitely need to add to it based on lots of different things that go into it that I will be breaking down for you. So the formula that I referred to in the last video and that I'm talking about now is basically taking 0.01 times the amount of followers you have, and then that is going to give you the rate that you should charge. So let's say you have 40,000 followers times 0.01, that's going to be a $400 rate, which may seem really high to you right now, but as someone who has around 40,000 followers, $400 for what goes into creating the content that I produce is actually not that much money. I feel like I deserve a lot more, and we are going to talk about why and why asking for a higher rate could be beneficial for you as far as your income goals and what really goes into it. So the first point that I really want to talk about is your value as a content creator. You are bringing the brand so much value. You have your audience and your people that follow you online, and you are bringing those people to the brand when the brand asks you to do a sponsored post for them. Something else that you really need to consider is brands hire professional photographers, models, fly out to different locations to take beautiful photos, and that costs them thousands of dollars. You are saving the brand thousands of dollars as an influencer, so you definitely need to be asking for a higher rate. Even if you have under 10,000 followers, I am definitely an advocate for numbers don't matter as much, because I worked in the influencer agency world and would go with influencers that had 5,000 followers with a really engaged community over influencers with 75,000 followers. So I just want to put that out there, that if you're watching this video and you're like, I have under 10K, I would take the $400 if someone offered it to me. Know your worth. Like, you are worth so much more than that. If you are creating amazing content, quality content, then you deserve to be compensated for it. Again, I want you to go back to what I said about what the brand has to do for these big photo shoots. They are doing all of this content creation themselves, paying a lot of money, and then they still have to pay money for the space. So they have to pay money for space in a magazine, for space on a bus ad, for space on a billboard, space for people to see their creation, their post, their branded deal. So what's really nice about influencers is they have a target audience, and if you match the brand's target audience, then that's going to be a lot better than a brand just throwing up a billboard, spending thousands of dollars and hoping that they reach the right target audience. That is something that you can also talk about when you're emailing a brand back and forth, and mention that you know, your target audience matches their target audience really well, and that's why you think that you would be such a good partnership for them, and that's why your rates are what they are. Now let's talk about the specific rate and how you can calculate it by first discussing your financial goals as a content creator. I love this. I think this is so important to talk about your financial goals, because you can use that formula that I mentioned all day long, but then you're kind of scrambling and wondering, you know, I want to reach this, but do I need to charge this? Or I really think I need to charge this. This is really just going to lay out everything for you in a very nice and pretty way. So first, you're going to think about, how much do I want to make in a year as a content creator? Let's say you want to make $60,000 as a content creator. So you're going to take that $60,000 and you are going to divide it by 12. How many months are in a year? And that is going to give you a number. So 60,000 divided by 12 is $5,000. So you need to make $5,000 a month to reach that end financial goal. Then you're gonna think about, well, $5,000 a month, how many collabs do I realistically want to do in a month? I like to do a 30% sponsorship ratio to 70% organic on my platforms. I don't want to have a ton of sponsored deals on my platforms because I still want to have my personality shine through, and I don't want people to go to my profile and see ad after ad after ad. It doesn't look good. You can watch my video on what brands are looking for here. I talked about what we looked for as a brand manager for the agency that I worked for, and we definitely did not want to work with influencers who worked with a ton of brands all the time. So let's say I want to work with 4 brands. So I take $5,000 divided by 4, and this is my rate, $12.50. So that would be my rate for whatever deliverables I want to do. If I want to do an Instagram post, 5 Instagram stories, a TikTok video, a Reels, and a Pinterest, that's a lot of content for $12.50. I would probably do an Instagram post, some stories, and maybe a couple Pinterest pins for that amount. Again, it's all up to you. Don't take this and be like, okay, she does this, so I should do this. Do whatever feels comfortable for you. Do what you won't resent the brand for. Make sure you choose the price based upon a couple other factors that I'm gonna go into now. So let's say that I'm gonna charge $12.50 for an Instagram post and some stories. Let's keep it there. What I'm gonna have to think about is my costs. Am I gonna have to go rent an Airbnb to take all of these photos? Am I going to have to hire a photographer to do these photos for me? Am I gonna have to buy a bunch of costumes for this to be the ideal post for the brand? That is something that you need to factor into the price that you're gonna charge that brand. And I do want to preface this with, this rate that you calculate might still be too low. You may need to jack up the prices on your rates, and that's okay. I want you to know that brands understand what goes into this, and if they don't understand what goes into a good photo, then they aren't the brands that you want to work with. If they're like, no, we have $300, and you're like, but I said my rate was $1,800. I don't know if you're ever gonna see eye to eye. I don't know if these brand managers are well-versed or educated in the influencer world, so they may not be the right ones for you to work with, and that's okay. Another thing to consider when you are calculating your rate is taxes. You are going to have to pay taxes on all of this money, so you could even up your rate a little bit to compensate for the taxes that you're going to have to pay. And our next big point that I want you to think about when calculating your rate and determining your rate is your time investment. This is so important. I touched on this a little bit in my other video, but I will go ahead and give a similar example. If I am working with a brand and they want me to dye my hair and then post a photo, I'm gonna charge a lot more because a lot more time is gonna go into doing that, as well as changing myself. That is where I am going to calculate a higher rate than if a brand from a coffee company says, hey, can you post a lifestyle post for me incorporating the coffee genuinely? That's gonna be a lot easier than dyeing my hair, and it's gonna take a lot less time than dyeing my hair for a brand. It's so important to really look at, is it worth it? Are you constantly trying to create content for brands and it's just wearing you out? And again, your feed might be becoming more just about brands, and you know, you're not even writing blog posts anymore because you're just trying to do all of this work for brand collaborations and sponsorships. If that's the case, then you're definitely going to reach burnout a lot sooner. And that's where you need to up your rates so you can do less collaborations and focus on what really makes you happy and what you're super passionate about. I would rather charge more for 1 to 3 collaborations than charge less for like 4 to 6 collaborations. That's just a lot of work. And I feel like too, I'm the type of content creator that does a lot for my photo shoots, whether I'm, you know, redecorating my house for a little area to do a photo shoot, whether I'm like getting into costume, I'm putting on extra makeup than I normally would. I just take a lot of extra time. And I think that again is so important. What are you doing prep-wise time before you even get out the camera to take the photo? Think about all of those little details. Are you driving to a destination because you think this destination is gonna be a really good photo for this brand with this product? Or are you doing it in your house? Think about all of these different factors. There are 3 other things that you can do while trying to calculate your rate. I did these 3 things a lot, and I'm so glad that I did and other people did, so we could really find out what rate was best for me and my content. So the first thing is to talk about your rates. Encourage transparency with other creators. One of my biggest pet peeves is when I ask a creator what they charge and they're so secretive about it. Like, why are we so secretive about our rates? If I'm charging X and another creator is charging Y, we can be able to determine the differences and see, okay, well, maybe I'm charging this because I have this extra platform, or they're charging this because they do this, this, and this. Or if we're exactly the same, we need to figure out why we're not getting paid the same rate. Is it because I'm negotiating more and they're not negotiating more? Can I help them negotiate more to get to the same rate as me? I think this is so important, and I feel like the content creators that I've talked to about rates, I've been able to see that, oh, I am worth a lot more. And this is why I make videos like this for you, so you know that it's okay to talk about rates and that you are worth more. When we are talking about rates and we're being so transparent, brands see this and brands recognize that influencers are talking, and the brands that are being scammy and shady, they're not going to be able to get away with paying content creators, I don't know, $300 when they're doing tons of work and the brands are expecting, you know, 5 deliverables and they're only paying $300 to a content creator. They're not going to be able to get away with that if we are constantly talking to each other and sharing this information. And finally, just experiment. Experiment with your rates. Up your rate, and then if they come back and say, well, we can do this, you know, negotiate a good rate that you feel comfortable with. Just experiment. You know, if you have 5 deliverables and you offer this rate and you've never done like a 5 deliverable package like that before, just kind of mess around with the rates, and then the next time maybe charge a little bit more. If you felt like that was a lot of work and you wish you would have asked for more, charge more on the next brand opportunity for you. It really is just all about experimentation, because the influencer industry is still so new and growing, and again, people aren't as transparent as they should be. So by experimenting, you're able to kind of weigh all your options and see the differences in how much time it takes for you to create the content and if it is really worth it for you. And just remember that everybody's rate is going to be different based on the availability you have, whether you're a full-time content creator or part-time, your skill set. Are you versed in marketing? Have you ever done marketing before? Are you a photographer? Different things like that are going to determine your specific rate. So that is where you just really need to think about all your skill sets and everything that you can bring to the table when you are calculating that rate. The influencer industry is constantly changing, and so rates are going to be constantly changing as influencers grow or they offer new things on different platforms like video for TikTok. I charge a lot more for a package because I'm incorporating TikTok into my deliverables. So that is something that you need to consider, that the industry is changing, so your rate should be changing as well to grow with the industry. Let me know if you guys have any other questions about calculating your rate as a content creator or influencer. Leave those in the comments, and if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys next time.